Plenty of MMOs and their betas have come and gone, but still, to this day, I have the same question. How does a game that came out in 2004 still be better than every single MMO since? How does a game that's file size was approximately 5 gigabytes still have more engaging exploration, world building, and music than modern MMOs? Its combat feels fine. Its traversal feels good. Its races were unique from one another. The quests, leveling system, classes, and skill trees are all pretty darn great, and it even feels more immersive.
I'm talking about World of Warcraft.
Vanilla World of Warcraft, not retail, which is slop and has fallen victim to the same issues I have with all modern MMOs today. And I just don't understand it. 40 guys between 1999 and 2004 made a better game with worse technology. That's the Tony Stark in a cave with a box of scraps meme, and it honestly boggles my mind. And what sucks is that if any MMO was to step into WoW's shoes and have succeeded, it should have been the Elder Scrolls Online. ESO had multiple races, it had a dynamic class system, an immersive world, and pretty great music. And it even had 3 factions. That's one more faction than WoW had. And yet it wasn't the WoW killer. The closest we've gotten to a WoW killer is Final Fantasy XIV, but to be fair, that's not even the point I'm trying to make. Design philosophy and vision. What set WoW apart from the others and still does? Its world and how you interact with it. What can you do in World of Warcraft that you can't do in Final Fantasy XIV or, frankly, I think every other MMO? You can make a character and travel to another starting zone at level 1 and progress. In WoW, you can make a Night Elf and travel all the way to Stormwind on foot to quest in the human starting area. If you roll an Elf Rogue and level in Elwyn Forest, for instance, you'll still be able to pick up your class quest and get the Blade of Cunning. You aren't penalized for wanting to level where it's more efficient, with the race and class you want to play as. Except for Shamans. You're kind of screwed if you decide to level up in Tearsfall or Silverpine as a shaman because you need to travel all the way back to Orgrimmar to train. Its class quests are generally based in Durotar or Mulgore. At the low levels, it can be quite bothersome. And that's another thing. Starting zones in themselves. Each race has its own unique starting zone, except for gnomes and trolls, because theirs were cut due to time constraints. You weren't designated to a generic starting zone for all races or a standard class or faction-based starting zone like in Final Fantasy XIV or Elder Scrolls. I mean, if I'm an Argonian and I want to go level in Skyrim with the Nords, I should be able to do that. Or High Rock to Hammerfell, the Somerset Isles to Valenwood, and so on and so forth. Why is this design choice unique to only World of Warcraft? In Final Fantasy XIV, whichever class you pick determines your starting zone. And there are no factions except us versus the big bad. Then why can't I roll an archer and go level in Limsa with no restrictions? Why do I have to be level 15 before I can access the city? What if Limsa has the better starting area, much like Windsward was generally favored, yet I have to slog through 15 levels before I can go there? And I know that's not really how the greater leveling experience in Final Fantasy XIV, ESO, or New World is, but I hope you get my point. In Terra, no matter what race, no matter what class you choose, we all started on the Isle of Dawn, which in 2012 was fine, but after getting to Elementhia, I thought, why can't I just start here as a High Elf? Why am I restricted to the Isle of Dawn no matter what? The Old Republic was close, considering each class had their own story quests, and I understand it's a narrative-based game and each story has its own individual outcomes, and that's just how the game was, but still, I wanted more freedom. I wanted to choose, or at least the ability to choose. Maybe it's because I like to become immersed in the world and subconsciously roleplay my character as I explore it. Or maybe it's just better game design. As you progress through the game, more areas become available, and that includes more choice. If I'm a human that decided to trek to Tedrasil, and then I do all of Darkshore, and arrive in Ashenvale and think, this sucks, I can just hop ship to the wetlands or go down to Duskwood or Redridge. Maybe I picked up a quest in the city and it's like, hey, go to Dustwallow Marsh at level 35. And I find my way to the Shivering Flats but decide to level in Arathi Highlands, Desolus, or Stranglethorn Vale instead. It's literally up to me. On top of that, if you have a wife, kids, or a job and you can't exactly stay at home and play all day, in the small moments you can, and you're sauntering around killing some stuff at, say, level 33, and you see someone at level 42 run past you on a mount, you think to yourself, that guy looks cool, I want a horse. You can be in Dunmoreau and come across Nomerigan, whatever, and it has high-level mobs guarding the entrance, and you think to yourself, why? What is that? I want to go in there. It sets a subconscious goal to achieve. The game has you explore and learn while on foot for 40 whole dang levels before affording you the opportunity to buy a mount and traverse the lands of Azeroth faster, and explore higher level dungeons with awesome gear placed in lower level areas. It feels dangerous and mysterious. Progression is earned and it matters, and you're not even max level yet. Or you can just dungeon grind, whatever. I'm fully aware that World of Warcraft's combat isn't great. It's not the best, and there's a lot of MMOs out there that have way better combat. But it still feels good, and it is fun. Your rotation matters and your movement matters. Even when you're just running around, it doesn't feel floaty. It feels like every step is landing where it should be. When your character smacks an enemy, it feels like that hit landed. The impact of fireballs sounds explosive, and that's just good animation and sound design at the end of the day. And this video isn't about glazing WoW. I'm not exactly a WoW Andy, but how come a game released in 2004 that I picked up in 2005 still has me thinking about it 20 years later, after playing the closed beta test for Chrono Odyssey? Nostalgia? No. I've played Silk Road, Vindictus, The Old Republic, Terra, Elder Scrolls Online, Guild Wars 2, The Lord of the Rings Online, Final Fantasy XIV, Aeon, Lost Ark, New World, Age of Conan, Black Desert Online, Arc Age, Rift, City of Heroes, Phantasy Star Online, DC Universe Online, and I even played Toontown. And yet World of Warcraft was the only MMO where I felt like I could live in the world. I used to play on Kirin Tor between 2005 and 2008, and sometime in 2009 I played on another server for Wrath of Lich King, and I can't remember the name. And then I went to Wormrest Cord in 2010 to 2011 because Moonglade was the alternative. And yeah, Goldshire was just as bad. A year after Cataclysm came out, some buddies and I decided to play the Old Republic. And then a few months after that, we played Terra. And a couple months after playing Terra, I ended up coming back to WoW for the Mists of Pandaria release. But when I was playing the Old Republic, I had an absolute blast. My friends from WoW fell off and went back to Azeroth, but I stayed there for a little bit. I got into a guild called Rising simply because I was max level in the guild I was in and nobody else was, and I saw Rising's guild leader Jory just perched up in the Empire Hub hanging out. And so I asked him how many level 50s were in his guild and asked if I could join. And we ended up being the best PvP guild on the server, and it was pretty freaking awesome. You know, later a couple guys from Rising and I went and played Terra because the Old Republic was already fallen off, and soon after they fell off Terra too, and I went back to WoW. And it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the same. I played on and off until the end of Pandaria, and then Warlords of Draenor happened. And I'm sure you can see where this story's going.
You think you do, but you don't.
Stop! We're getting away from the main objective here. This video isn't about Blizzard's history. It's about how Blizzard sucks, and yet somehow Classic WoW's core world design is still better. It's pretty annoying. Maybe Riot's MMO is the sacred key. Maybe their MMO gives you the freedom to choose where you want to level. Race-designated starting zones that aren't linear and bottlenecked. Their animations are top tier. The combat and sound design is wonderful. The traversal feels great. And each zone and city has immersive, beautiful music that fits the area you're in and isn't overly epic just because it can be. Maybe their MMO is more community-focused. Progression feels earned. They subtly feed you goals and quests through its world design and mystique. You can achieve max level by crafting, gathering, or playing the auction house. Or maybe you can just dungeon grind. Whatever. What do you think? Do you agree with my opinion on WoW's leveling and exploration design? Do you wish these modern MMOs would simply adopt that too, or maybe you enjoy elements from other MMOs that you wish could be implemented into new ones? Leave a comment below. Either way, have a good day, evening, Wherever you are in the world, stay healthy.